A lot has happened in the 2023 offseason to help change the landscape of both conferences. With big moves being made and with the NFL averaging 6 new playoff teams from year to year, there's going to be a ton of speculation on who is going to reach that next step that they couldn't achieve in 2022. Looking at what teams could fall out and what the bottom of the league did to improve, I believe we can make some good guesses. So I'm here to rank the top 10 NFL teams that can make the playoffs after missing them in 2022. Number 10, the Washington Commanders. The Commanders finished last season with a record of 8-8-1 with some impressive wins against the undefeated Eagles in Week 10, as well as a great showing in Sam Howell's only start of the year versus the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18. With the new addition of Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator, along with Sam Howell as the entrenched starter throughout the offseason, they should see a better passing attack this season as opposed to years previous where Terry McLaurin was seemingly keeping it alive with sheer Frankenstein magic. With a now hopefully repaired offense, Ron Rivera can now focus on fixing the defense with the seat heating up on him. Luckily, he'll be getting Jamin Davis, Benjamin St-Juste, Cole Holcomb, and Chase Young back fully healthy. What puts them at 10 is the difficulty of their division and uncertainty surrounding Howell as an NFL single caller. Their best chance is if he can be a better starter than what Taylor Heineke gave them in 2022, while the running game and defense secures tough wins for the team. Number 9, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are in a position to replicate what the Jacksonville Jaguars were able to accomplish in the past season, going from the worst record in the league to the playoffs in a one-year turnaround. The Bears will assuredly improve on their 3-14 2022 record, with DJ Moore being relied upon to help Justin Fields make that Josh Allen level leap in year 3. What keeps the Bears on the lower end of the list is the competitiveness of the NFC North. The Bears sold off big defensive pieces last season, but bringing in Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards should help improve on their woeful run defense from last season. However, their lack of pass rush depth should still be an obstacle for them to overcome. What will be key for them to succeed is their youth and new pieces on defense to outperform early expectations and for Justin Fields and co to live up to off-season hype and then some. Number 8, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina finally has a direction following the mess of Matt Rule and the quarterback catastrophe of 2022. Frank Reich has put together a solid but not great supporting cast around Bryce Young and will be looking to have an offense that can take advantage of a weak NFC South. Veterans like DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst, and Adam Thielen will help out the young single caller, and the Panthers do have high upside weapons who could potentially break out with added opportunity in a new system, such as Terrence Marshall Jr. and Tommy Tremble. The Panthers have one of the most consistent offensive lines in the league, returning all 5 starters from the previous year, and that should pair well with new running back Miles Sanders, who will look to replace Christian McCaffrey's production from the backfield. The Panthers defense has a good young core to be excited about, with Derek Brown, Yetur Gross-Matos, Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, and Jeremy Chin. However, the rookie-led offense may take a few weeks to get off the ground, and I would bet that this team might be the least ready to take over the division lead with the fall of Tampa. Number 7, Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson's first year in Broncos country was a nightmare that ended with their first-year head coach axed before the season was over. Now with Sean Payton heading the ship, there should be some optimism that Denver can turn around and achieve the offense that they were hyped to have last season. The returns of Tim Patrick and Javonte Williams should ease the load on Wilson's shoulders and give him no excuse to not perform to his previous standards. Vance Joseph's return to Denver sees a scheme shift to an even front, which will help accent the returning pieces like defensive tackle Matt Henningsen, linebackers Josie Jewell and Baron Browning, while allowing for the already good secondary to excel. The Broncos have exciting young depth like linebacker Drew Sanders, who is an athletic freak at linebacker, but needed some time to sit and learn after transferring from edge rusher in college last season, as well as Riley Moss, who will be a cheap option at corner who will hopefully develop into the perfect complement to Pat Surtain. The Broncos are a dark horse team to push for a playoff spot, but with Kansas City entrenched at the top of the division, they will need to rely on winning double-digit games to have a chance at one of the wildcard spots in a deep AFC. Number 6, Cleveland Browns. The Browns will have a full season of Deshaun Watson in 2023 as long as they have revoked his membership to the Massage Therapists of America Club. Watson was a top 5 quarterback before becoming an alleged criminal, and at the end of last season was attributed to the rust of not playing in 2 years, then he should be good to reach those previous heights this season. The Browns feel in the top offensive lines in the league and have a game record at running back in Nick Chubb. While outside of Amari Cooper and David Njoku, the pass weapons are unproven and inconsistent, Watson should have no problem getting the best out of them. The additions of Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith gives the Browns one of the deepest defensive line rotations in the NFL and will make life easier on the other 2 levels of the defense, turning what was a weakness just a season ago into a strength. When at full health, the Browns should be one of the top offensive and defensive units in the league, which should place them as the favorites to push the Bengals for the division lead and a shoo-in for the wild card. What may be holding them back is the difficulty of their division. Cincinnati is considered one of the top teams in the AFC, and the Ravens have finally started to add receivers around Lamar Jackson. There is also a major uncertainty around Deshaun Watson and if he can return to form, as well as questions with Kevin Stefanski's ability as a head coach. This team can be one of the biggest dark horses of the league or biggest disappointments. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. Green Bay has been a typically successful franchise since their inception and are looking to continue that trend, however with a different modus operandi. The Packers have been blessed with generational quarterbacks in succession of each other for decades at this point. However, they have two great running back options in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and just sunk draft capital into their defensive front with defensive end Lucas Van Ness and in two gigantic athletic freak tight ends Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. The Packers are looking to join the NFC trend of smash mouth football, run the ball down the defense's throat, and played solid defense with a quarterback who does just enough to not lose the game. Jordan Love could pass for less than 3,000 passing yards this season, and the team is still set up to win nearly as many games, if not more, than they did last season. Matt LaFleur has an opportunity to show his talent as an NFL coach outside of Aaron Rodgers, and even though I don't predict them as winners of the NFC North, their brand of football and roster they have built may allow them to grab one of the wildcard spots amongst an NFC with several unknowns. Number 4, New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers' new team is seemingly prepared to take over as the main threat to the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East, since Tua Tagovailoa is currently in concussion protocol after being hit by a slight breeze, and the New England Patriots are a zombified franchise whose appetite is only satisfied by winning 7 to 8 games a season until Bill Belichick gets the record for most wins in a career, and then releases the black magic he holds over the team so they can finally blow it up and rebuild. That all being said, the Jets have one of the deepest backfields in football, with rookie Israel Abanikanda being one of my favorite prospects at the position in a draft full of top-end running back talent, and he is only slotted to be their third-string running back behind returning Breece Hall and stalwart Michael Carter. While Rodgers did petition to get all his friends a job in Gotham, the Jets also added McCole Hardman to go along with rookie sensation Garrett Wilson and consistent tight end Tyler Conklin. Quinnen Williams now has a pile of gold at home after signing a massive extension in the offseason, so he should be on top of his game with no distractions, direct the interior offensive lines, and free up other players like Carl Lawson or rookie Will McDonald. All those positives don't even include the Jets' strongest position group, their defensive backfield, which includes the best outside corner duo in the league with reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year Sauce Gardner leading the way. All that being said, the Jets are still slotted as the second best team in their division, the offensive line is more good in theory than it is in practice, and the fan base needs to cross its fingers that 2022 Aaron Rodgers was a temporary blip, and that the high-grade ayahuasca hasn't permanently forced him to see ghosts 20 yards downfield. Number 3, New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are on paper the most likely to win the depleted NFC South. The reason I say on paper is the team has been less healthy than a bubble child with an autoimmune disease. Michael Thomas and Chris Olave are their top 2 receivers, and one hasn't been seen since he got his bag 2 years ago, and Olave was having a success in his rookie season, but was injured towards the end of the season. Alvin Kamara has been the sole engine for this offense since he was drafted, but now is also racking up an injury history along with his dismissed assault charges. The Saints brought in Derek Carr, and he will hopefully give them some stability that they haven't had since Drew Brees retired. The offensive line is set to be a strength on their team, and young defensive players like Paulson Adebo, Pete Werner, and Zach Bond are hoping to make some leaps and provide the Saints with a more well-rounded team. Despite the division being as wide open as it is, this team is one stub toe away from crumbling like a house of cards.
Ow.
Number 2, Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons should be considered the true favorites to emerge from the NFC South come January of 2024. This team reached a 7-10 record last season with Marcus Mariota as the starter, and their investments in orange pylons with cornerback taped on them backfiring in their face so hard to drag down A.J. Terrell. Desmond Ridder started to put together some better games as he got more stats under his belt, and with a full offseason he should be able to start this year better than he ended off the last. Kyle Pitts and Drake London should be healthy and dominant as complements to their new shiny toy running back. Arthur Smith squeezed the 1,000 rushing yards out of Tyler Algier, so I personally can't wait to see what Bijan Robinson can do. Worst case scenario takes a dive behind Chris Lidstrom for 10 plays in a row, and it will still be better than what some of the offense they produced last year was. Outsourcing their cornerback issue to Detroit is a bit of a gamble, but betting on a former 3rd overall pick in Jeff Okudah to excel with a change of scenery and less pressure to be a number 1 corner is a worthwhile risk. The addition of Pro Bowl safety Jesse Bates will hopefully help the defensive backfield come together. The Falcons are building a formula for a team that won't need Desmond Ridder to be an all-world quarterback to help them win the division. If Bijan Robinson meets expectations and the Falcons defense can come up with key stops, this could be a team that knocks on the 10-win door as soon as next season. Number 1, the Detroit Lions. The NFC North is wide open for the taking with the Packers in a reboot on offense and the Vikings having a very fraudulent-looking 13-win season. Detroit was already knocking on the door of the playoffs last year, losing out to Seattle in a tiebreaker for the final wildcard spot at 9-8. Jared Goff proved that he is slightly above average, which is good enough to get the job done, or so I've heard, and was never the sole reason the Lions lost games in 2022. The Lions have added Sam Laporta, Josh Reynolds, and Marvin Jones Jr. to complement stud slot receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've doubled and tripled down on building one of the best run games in the league with the signing of Dave Montgomery and drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. After being the anchor of the team last season, the defense has received a new coat of paint with first-round rookie linebacker Jack Campbell, free agent corner Cam Sutton, and 2 new safeties with the Eagles' Chauncey Gardner-Johnson manning the slot and Alabama's Brian Branch being an all-purpose weapon in the secondary. Last year already showed glimpses of elite talent in that defense, and those returning players in Aiden Hutchinson and Kirby Joseph we'll look to bring the whole package together and bring the North to Detroit for the first time in 30 years. If you enjoyed this list, go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment on what other top 10s you want to see me do. I now have a Patreon, which I'm planning on dropping scouting VODs from my streams in there, as well as allowing for other people to request players to scout and other video topic things and other discussion terms as well. I'm going to be running for Defiant Takes Football again, as well as contributing to the Dynasty Index, which you can find at patreon.com/KeelPro88 for only $1. Summer scouting is about to come to a start, and I'm excited to drop more content for you guys, so subscribe, keep posted, and I'll see you guys in the next one.